Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leela, and today we're taking a trip down memory lane. We are expressing our gratitude for the abundance in our lives, specifically with the job. I did not start from a place like this. I too had jobs before my professional career, so that's what I'm going to talk about today. This is kind of like a rant, story time, taking a trip down memory lane of previous jobs that I had. So we're gonna throw it back to when I was maybe 13 or 14, and as most young women might have had at that age, they were babysitters, and I was one of them. I babysat neighbor kids who I really enjoyed hanging out with. They were kind of like my younger friends. We hung out. All I did was basically diffuse any fights that they had with each other. Shout out to them. They are great people. Love the family, and I hope they're all doing well. But I did fall into traps to babysit a couple times, and it was mostly for families at my parents' church that I didn't know that well. I'll be honest, I don't know many people at my parents' church that well. And that's just that. But there was one time I did babysit for a family. Very last minute. Didn't really know them that well, but I like the parents, so I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll do that. Kind of scary. There was a baby, and I don't even know how to hang out around children. Like, I'm just weird around kids, which is ironic because I worked as a camp counselor too. We'll get into that later. And would I go back to do it? Probably not. Have I gotten better with babies in the past 10 years? Maybe. I have a baby niece now, so hopefully I did. Who knows? Not me. But that was that. Babysitting. Loved it. Was a good time. Had its ups and downs, but it helped me save for one of those iPod Nanos. Does anyone remember those? The iPod Nanos with the video camera on it? Those were cool. So that was my first job. Now my first W-2 job was with a college cafeteria, like a college dining hall. And technically I didn't even have the job. I was a sub, so I wasn't on the schedule. I subbed for other people who couldn't make it. And when I tell you that that was the most laborious job I've ever done in my life, I'm not joking. I would work 2 to 4 hours breaking my damn back to just get paid $7.25 in an hour. It was a very chilling experience. Would not go back. Shout out to anyone who worked at this job, including my older brother. Heart of gold. Hearts of gold, because that was not the job for me. Okay. Now this one is my most infamous job because I feel like all of my friends, whether they're childhood friends or my friends that I've made in the past year or so, all know I work this job, and that is McDonald's. Okay, McDonald's. What is there to say about McDonald's? That job, there are a lot of pros and cons to that job. It very much showed me how crappy people are. Like I knew that already, but this amplified it to a different degree at the age of 17. So I worked at McDonald's for about five years, maybe 5 to 6 years. I worked my junior and senior year of high school, and I worked there because my best friend at the time, shout out to Jessica, worked there too, and she was like, oh, everyone's cool, we just, it's fine. So I did work there, and she didn't lie. Everyone that worked there was super cool. That was the reason why I stayed at the job for so long, was because of the people that worked there. Everyone was super cool, pretty young, pretty chill, But the cons outweighed the pros, definitely. So let's get into that. A food service job itself is not, of course, the most glamorous. And it wasn't even the work that was bad, but it was definitely the customers that made the job 20 times worse than it actually was. I don't have to say it, but I'm gonna say it. I don't have to say it, but I'm gonna say it. When you're Black working in food service, you are gonna be thrown racist remarks all the time. This is not even like, it just happens like all the time. At this point, I'm like, oh, it's gonna happen. Like, I live my life knowing that today someone might call me the N-word, knowing that someone might say something rude about the way I look because I have brown skin. That's just the way it goes, and I've accepted it. You know, I've accepted it. But there has been plenty of occasions at McDonald's where people are just so rude or racist. People have cursed at me. It's just like a whole different ball game. And like, I'm like this underage teenager just trying to, you know, take your order. And you're like a 40-year-old man or woman being racist for no reason. Like, there's a lot to say about that. There's a lot to say about you in that moment. We hate to see it. We hate to see it. There's one story in particular I remember because I think I blocked out all the other ones. And my memory's crap anyways, but this one particular time, I was the runner. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember, it's been a long time. But I was the runner. So in the drive-thru, there's like the person taking the order, the person that's bagging the food, and the person that hands the food off to the customer. So I was the person that hands the food off to the customer. I think that's the runner, I can't remember. But anyways, I opened the window to greet the customer. Very nice, as I do. And so I stood by the window. I greeted the customer, and the customer doesn't say hello, but she mentions that she did not receive a toy in her Happy Meal the last time she came to the restaurant. And of course, the person that I am, I apologize. And before even asking my manager if it's okay, I suggest, can I give you a toy from the Happy Meal, like, for free? Is that okay? And she refuses. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she's like, I just wanted to let you know that you forgot the toy in my child's Happy Meal. The last time that I was here, you forgot. And I'm like, ma'am, I've never seen you in my life, but I'm like, oh, okay. And she just continues to stare at me. And I'm like, okay. So I just like try to keep my composure, stepping away from the window, turning to make sure the food's not waiting there, like I'm not wasting her time or mine, because times are ticking. In the drive-thru, we try to get those times down. I turn around to check to see if the food is there. It's not. The window shuts, and I go to get a drink of water just to, you know, compose myself, because I'm gonna have to look at this woman again. And one of my managers notices like I went to go get a drink, and apparently the food had already been sitting there by the time I went to get my drink and like take a moment for myself. And he goes and hands the food off to her. And this woman's angry because she claims I slammed the window in her face. Now, if we look back at the cameras, there was no slamming of windows. The window shuts automatically when you walk away from it, and it might not have shut to the pressure that she thought was acceptable. And she goes, that Black girl that you are working with back there slammed the door in my face. And my manager at the time knows what kind of person I am. And he knows I keep my stuff together when I'm at work. And when I'm in front of customers, I'm like, I'm together. So he's like, okay. And she's like re-explaining the story about the Happy Meal toy. And he suggests the same thing I did. It's like, I'm gonna go, like, can I get you a toy? And she's like, no, that's not what I want. And he's like, well, what's the point? Like, just take the food and leave. But this is just one of many stories that happens at McDonald's. I'm like, I get paid $7.25. I'm not here for this. I'm here to get the times down, get you your sandwich, and get the line moving. Like, what are we doing here? Oh my gosh, that's just one of the many stories that has happened at that treacherous place we call McDonald's. Oh my gosh, I'm still talking about McDonald's. But okay, I'm gonna have to bring up on one more thing, because this was like kind of life-changing for me. So this did happen with McDonald's. And as I mentioned, I've worked there for several years, and coincidentally, my little brother, when he became 16, he worked there too. And so that time, I think minimum wage had risen a little bit in the state of Pennsylvania, so everyone who had started working at this point had the higher minimum wage than, you know, what it was before. And I noticed that my pay had not changed over a long period of time. And my little brother, because he tells me everything, told me how much he was getting paid. And I'm like, that's funny because I don't get paid the same amount. You know, this could be, you know, a reflection on my work. But the funny part is I know it's not, because every time I'm there and the head manager was there, she would rave about me all the time. Like, Lila's a great student, Lila's this, Lila's that, like blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, that's funny because I've been working here for so long, have not gotten any promotions, have not gotten any raises. This was like hard for me, being the introvert that I am. I had to really suck it up and be like, I need a meeting with you. So I met with her and I was like, listen, I know everyone here is like, we shouldn't talk about our pay or whatever. If someone who you say is like a star worker is not getting paid the amount that she should be, like, I feel like she should say it, she being me. So I did say it and I did get a bit of a raise, but that also taught me a lot about how words don't mean shit. Excuse my language. Sorry mom, sorry dad. But words don't mean shit. And the proof is in the pudding. I was talked about so highly, but not given the time of day, given the compensation that I deserved, given the title that I deserved, for whatever various reasons that may have happened. But it definitely taught me that I'm not gonna put up with bullshit, and to this day I have not. And I definitely am getting paid what I deserve now. So there we go. That was McDonald's. A huge lesson for moi. Next job we are gonna talk about is panera. Glorified hospital food, good old panera bread. You know, Panera actually was not a bad job. I only worked there for 3 months because this was the Panera on my school campus and I just needed money at the time. And so Panera was a pretty chill job. There wasn't much I can say that I disliked from the job. You know, we didn't get free food, but we definitely got like 50% off, which was pretty good to me. And if we messed up an order, we got to keep the food. You know, we got free desserts. I mean, I don't know if we were supposed to. Sorry, Panera. But it was a pretty good job. As I mentioned, like McDonald's, they have great workers. Everyone was a college student basically, and everyone was super nice and fun. And we like hung out and went to parties back when partying was a thing. And yeah, that was a good time. I appreciated that time with Panera. The better out of the 2 food service jobs was Panera, for sure. And I got paid way more. So yeah, that is Panera. Okay, so the next job that I had before my professional career was being a camp coordinator, which is kind of like a camp counselor, except I'm in charge of the camp counselors. I was in charge, which is funny. So yeah, I was in charge of a large group of young kids from like the age of, they were like from the age of 5, 6, 7, 8 max. It was like going into 1st grade and 2nd grade. These were super awesome kids, super cute, loved hanging out with them, but it was a very rigorous job. This was like 10 weeks, week after week after week. And the part of the program that I was a part of had different kids coming in every week, and sometimes I could have the same kid for multiple weeks if their parents paid for those weeks. And so that was hard emotionally because I felt like I didn't have enough time with these children to like really get to know them. And then also I didn't really even get to know their names. It was so hard. This is very much like, it was a good time. Like, I appreciated the work that I did there, but I felt like it was very like face value. Although I did have a lot of good moments with these children. Those weeks were rough. Those are rough times. I'm not gonna lie, the last like 4 weeks I was counting down because I was like, I need to go back to Pennsylvania. I've been here too long. But I did appreciate the experience of being a camp coordinator, even though it was rough, and even though I definitely know there were people who were working with me who definitely did not think that I deserved the position I was in. And honestly, I didn't either, but I was there for a reason, so I just did the job, you know? But that is that. I was a camp counselor, coordinator type thing, and it was fun, but it was rough, and the pay wasn't that great, but like the mission was good, and I didn't go back the next summer because I needed an internship, but it was good. Like, it was a good experience. Would I do it again? Who knows? I still don't know if I do it again, but it was a good time at the time. It was something I needed to do. Okay, and the final job that I had before my professional career is cat sitting. And when I tell you that's the best job out of all these jobs I've named, cat sitting or dog sitting, animal sitting, the best job ever. Like, if I could make a professional career out of taking care of your cat or dog, I would, with the same salary that I'm getting now. But yeah, animals, love them. They are everything. As you can tell, I'm obsessed with my roommate's dog. He is everything. I love animals, and I wish I could incorporate them into my full-time job. And I had a regular cats, two of them, that I would take care of because their owner was friends with my mom, and she would go on vacation back when we could go on vacation to Europe every summer, and those like 2 weeks I would cat sit and have the best time with those babies because they were actually really mischievous. Like, one of them like would run away and hide all the time, and then when I'd sleep over, I'd wake up and he would be like pulling on my braids. It was weird, but I think that's just his way of saying he likes me. But yeah, that's like ending this on a high note. Like, this was the last job I had before I started my professional career after I graduated college. And you know, I would still cat sit, I would still animal sit because it's so fun. Animals are so fun. And they're just like little balls of joy or angst. But either way, they're still fun. So yeah, we've come to the end of this show, guys. We've come to the end of this road. Those are all of my jobs before I started my professional career. And you know what? They taught me a lot of things. A lot of people are racist, and and food service workers deserve higher than minimum wage. That's all I'm saying. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Subscribe if you want to see more from me. And yeah, that is about it. Bonne nuit tout le monde. Au revoir.